BRB UK. Worse teeth, better accents.
Hello and welcome to episode 507 of BRB UK. I am Coleman. I will be your host this week, and I'm joined by Mr. Tim.
Hello. Just Tim this week. Nice and short, to the point.
Every now and then you get one off where I don't completely full name you, and I feel I must go easy on you today because, one, the lag is much worse than usual. Got a good 3 seconds behind Tim, so I'm going to not upset him because otherwise you'll go on a tirade and we just can't find the right sync point. And the other reason, Dan is not here, so I've got no one to back me up in my nonsense.
How was the wrestling, Mr. Coleman?
All the wrestling, baby. I went up to Wales. I went up to Cardiff, Wales. I love Wales. I love Cardiff, Wales. And I love watching the wrestling live. It's good old fun. Went with our friend Ed and Andrew from Ring the Bell. And had a great old time. Not sure the people in front or behind us thought they were having a great old time when Coleman's having a great old time. Especially when he's been off the booze for a very long time and decided, you know what? Now is a good time to just buy some 5 beers and really get into it.
How many impressions did you do? Or were you in the same impression all evening?
All of them.
All of them?
All of the there was Stone Colds, there was Warriors, there was all kinds of things going on. Yeah, no, really good show. Lots of really good matches. Had to leave during the main event, unfortunately, so I didn't get to see Tyson Fury come into the ring and sing American Pie as he likes to do. So, I mean, really, that's a blessing that I didn't get to see that.
Probably.
Yeah, he's very tone deaf, that man.
I saw that. It wasn't great.
The shocking organization, the last match was happening while the last train was going. So we had to leave early and there was all these warnings about train problems and stuff. So really had to get the hell out of there. But still had fun, watched the rest of it from home, enjoyed what I watched. Grand old time. I hope they do more big main events in the UK. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you check any of it out? You said you were gonna look for us on in the crowd.
I saw the end of it. I didn't see you in the crowd. I did unfortunately see the singing portion of the evening. That was not so good.
Oh, gone at that point.
Yeah. You really did fine there, I think, Coleman. Like, not seeing that live was probably a blessing. So you're all right. Did you see him knock that person out though? Were you there for that? No.
I had to leave shortly after the intros, the entrances. But yeah, I saw everything else for the night. It was fun. We had to get. I mean, we got in like 2 hours before the show started, so there was a lot of sitting about, just kind of waiting, going, "Wow, it's really hot inside the Millennium Stadium." Is it still the Millennium Stadium?
As far as I'm aware,
Cardiff Stadium. Yeah, and they had to close it all up because it'd been raining that day and all that kind of stuff. It's a shame it couldn't have been an open thing. I've been there twice and it's been closed each time. So this was infinitely more better than Take That when I last went.
Well, I mean,
long story.
I heard Take That don't wrestle very well, so
no, terrible wrestlers.
Plus, it's an uneven amount. It's 2 on 3. It's always going to be unfair, no matter which way you pair them up.
Well, you've kind of led me into a game I've been meaning to talk to you about for about 3 weeks now. I think 3 or 4 weeks. I keep putting this off, and the reason for it, this is Rumbleverse, one of the games that I've been most excited about this year, and I'm not really into battle royales. I did Nikira Blade Point. I played that for a little bit. Unfortunately, the performance on the Xbox Series S wasn't quite to the standard I would have liked. I might revisit that later on more powerful hardware. I've got it on my PC. I just haven't jumped into that. So Rumbleverse is it's got more of your kind of Fortnite aesthetic, but it's in a wrestling theme. So there's no guns or anything. It's all brawling. And that appeals to me a lot.
Because you like your wrestling.
So I have been playing. I do like my wrestling, I got to admit. I don't know why that was a West Country worthy accent.
I like it though. It works.
Yeah, I jumped into this. And originally I put down money for the pre-order. They ended up putting it back, and then it got released as a free-to-play type game. So jumping in, I'm very excited to play this, and unfortunately I didn't stick with it for as long as I thought I would. It is very much your if you've played a battle royale of any, or looked at a battle royale of any kind, you know what you're in for. You start a match off, you've got a character that you can do some basic customization to, and then the more you play, the more levels you unlock, the more money you put into it, the more kind of customization parts you can make, the better your character's going to look. And then when the game starts off, you're all thrown into a lobby way. And then once the lobby's done, you pick an area in the map you're going to spawn to. And then you're kind of dropped in from the sky. And then from that point on, you're fighting while a big ring starts swallowing up the map.
Let me back you up there.
The circumference of the ring.
Well, in what way you dropped out of the sky?
Just dropped out of the sky. No flying bus in this one, just out the sky.
Yeah, that sounds a bit like that. But you just fly out of the sky. There's no rhyme or reason for that. You're not like launched out of a cannon, or I don't know why that would actually be
I think
okay.
it is a cannon that you're
right. That would. I mean, it makes more sense. I mean, not total sense, but
that's it. You go in, you bash each other up, and then you're either in a team or you're all against all. And if you're the last team standing or the last person standing, they are the winner. Carry on, do that as many times as you can, and that's pretty much the game. I think this is going to be worth jumping into maybe a little bit later when they've updated with more. I mean, if it takes off and there's more maps and more customization parts and what have you, maybe any licenses for actual real life wrestling type stuff thrown in there, that could be interesting. But at the moment, I played it. I had a couple of matches. I won one. I didn't as a team. I lost a lot. I didn't know what I was doing for a fair portion. I found like there was more of a practice type mode where it would do a tutorial, and that's probably worth doing because you're just picking up items going, what's this do? I have no idea. And you go to hit someone and then he starts drinking and you're like, what? That's not what I meant to do. I don't know. And so you need that kind of explanation into playing the game. But yeah, it seems fine. If you're a fan of battle royales, I think you'll probably get along with this one. If you're deep entrenched into, say, a PUBG or a Fortnite, probably won't be much here for you because it is such a basic type of thing. But if you're looking for a more of a starter battle royale, one that's not completely, absolutely entrenched with children playing the game and screaming in the microphone at you, this might be a little more up your alleyway. It's free to play. Try it if you want to try it. Don't if you don't. It's no real skid off my nose. I might give it another go later, but there's other things I want to play to, which I'll get to in a minute. But first of all, I want to talk to you, Tim, because you've been playing PikMin. I mean, you've been playing Tinykin, and I want to know all about it.
Okay, well, yeah, from big Rumbleverses to Tinykins. But yeah, like it's a game that came out on Game Pass. I was kind of a bit spoiled for choice this week on Game Pass. There was a few things that I wouldn't mind playing. There's the Immortal Phoenix Rising, whatever it is, the thing from Ubisoft that came on the service. Another couple of things that look good as well. But Tinykin kind of popped out as cute kind of Pikmin type take on things, but with its own kind of graphical style that really attracted me in the first place. Like listeners to the show will know, if I'm playing a platformer and enjoying it, that's usually a sign of a good quality platformer, because there needs to be something
to you.
For me, there needs to be something more than just a good platformer to kind of to keep me interested in playing through the game. And it is a 3D platform exploration game. There's no real kind of combat, but you are exploring so that you can get other rewards that I can kind of come back to. But the main thing is picking up a succession of different creatures which can give you other powers to sort of make your way around the environment. So there's a kind of fire creature that you can throw at things to destroy them, so that you can destroy obstacles to get through, or make shortcuts and do other kind of things related to that. There's also creatures that pick things up for you. And then the two different ones that you come across. And I've kind of just started exploring with some other ones and these are green ones, just for reference, they're all different colors. But the green ones, you can stack up into a ladder and you can climb up them and then jump onto things as well. So like they're all kind of different things that can help you either get around the environment or manipulate the environment so that you can solve puzzles within that environment or just pathfind your way through the environment. And yeah, it's got, as I said, it's got this really kind of nice art style where it's a 3D world and a 3D kind of exploration environment, but the characters very much look 2D. And I was keen to see how that would work. And occasionally a bit squiffy with like lining up exactly where you are, especially when you're getting used to it. And there's a mechanic where for some reason you have bubble powers, which isn't really explained. Oh yeah, and just for a background of the story, you're from another planet, ostensibly, I think, but trying to find the origins of humanity, you come to this planet, and for some reason you're very small, and there's other creatures you're interacting with are quite small, and you're in a real world environment, but kind of cartoony styled, and you're kind of exploring around kind of bedrooms and like, you know, a house environment. I've just kind of got to the greenhouse area of the world, but there's like initially you're at least in someone's bedroom, and it kind of reminded me of Bird skateboarding game.
PikMin.
No, the recent Bird skateboarding game,
Skatebird.
And it's very much that sort of environment, but this one looks a bit more polished and like probably a slightly bigger development team. But yeah, like the world's well realized. It's enjoyable to get around. Interacting with the creatures is kind of interesting, works well, and leads to some interesting and fun puzzles. The kind of interaction with characters is very much just text on screen and kind of gibberish, from like being actually audible gibberish, kind of, you know, meh, 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 meh. But like that's done reasonably well, and it's quite funny in places, and that the presentation of that doesn't irk me too much, kind of thing. But yeah, the actual like main part of the game where you're exploring the environment and finding your way around and using those creatures to do things, and the little funny noises they make as you throw them and throw them around the environment to do stuff for you and stuff like that is quite funny. And yeah, like it's a cute game, and one worth looking out for, and a lot of people I think would definitely get some enjoyment out of this, especially as, and I'm guessing the name is referential to Pikmin almost deliberately, but yeah, like it's kind of definitely had an influence on the game, let's say, and something that fans of that game will obviously probably be more likely to like this game. But yeah, it's just a good puzzle platformer, basically, with cutesy characters and a really nice art style that presents it in. And as I said, sometimes that gets a bit squiffy with lining up jumps and doing other stuff. But generally, yeah, a good game and one worth looking out for, I think. Especially as it's available on Game Pass.
So what platform are you?
To a lot of people. Yeah, sorry, yeah. I was playing on Xbox, available on Game Pass. So I was playing on Xbox Series S. I imagine it's out on other platforms. I don't know that for sure, but I'm pretty sure this would be.
So it looks like it's available. I think it's, if I've got this right, PC, Xbox, and Switch. If you get it on any of the platforms that isn't a Switch, it's $20.99. If you get it on Nintendo Switch, it's $21.59. And obviously on Game Pass, as you said.
Yeah. But if you've got Game Pass, definitely worth picking up. I think from what I've seen of the game, though, if you were having to pay for it, there's probably enough game. As I said, I'm only interacting with the third kind of area and third creature, but there does seem to be like enough of the game for me still to go. I don't know how many hours it is altogether, but yeah, there's a big meaty game there. I've already played it for a good few hours to get to that point. Although that was because I was trying to find all the side missions in the first main area, sort of thing. But yeah, it's a good little game. I definitely recommend it.
I'll have to try that out myself if it's on the old Game Pass. I've been lacking on things to play on Game Pass, so okay. That's one I'll have to check out. There is something that I do want to talk about this week, and I thought, while Dan's not here, we should definitely take this opportunity to talk about something he definitely not let us talk about. So we should talk about the Destiny 2. Let's talk about Destiny 2 without Dan.
That makes no sense, Coleman.
I know. I wanted to talk about this last week as a goof, and I didn't put it on the agenda because I was going to butt in when Dan started talking about Destiny 2, but he didn't do it, so we never got to that point. I've been playing Destiny 2 again, and it's just because of it was before they announced they did the trailer for the new upcoming expansion that does look really cool and made me go, ooh.
Ooh.
But it was more so, I've been meaning to jump back in and I keep claiming my free Destiny stuff on Epic Game Store, and that all carries over. And I've got stuff that I've been meaning to, and every now and then I'll jump in and I've got all this stuff to reclaim. And I've gone in recently and finally claimed everything and sorted out all my inventory and stuff and gone through it all, and then thought, should do some playing while I'm here. So I've reinstalled it back onto my PS5, and I've been playing. And they've changed the game quite a fair bit in that most of the, if not all the expansions, I think that I bought aren't playable anymore. They've all been jettisoned off. At some point, the world got to a point in the story where they go, this is where the world is now. All that previous stuff you can't do anymore. And it's so much so that I actually went through, because I'm now basically playing, except for the stuff that I've unlocked in places, I'm basically playing the base version, the free-to-play version of the game, a game that I've paid for and paid a lot in expansions that I can never play again, which is a little bit annoying, I must admit. But it's been interesting in the way that they
supporting their business model. But anyway, well, one of the reasons, but yeah.
That's fair enough. Well, they have announced now they're not doing that jettison of getting rid of expansion content anymore. They're
sunsetting,
released
I think
now,
they refer
that's
to
staying
it as
in.
now.
Yeah. I think I've picked it up jettison from Dan.
Okay.
But when you play now, starting off the game, so previously when you played the game, it put you in the role of your guardian as if they are coming from the storyline of Destiny 1, and then they're jumping into the tower and taking on the fight of the Cabal, the invading the Red Legion. All that stuff, because you've played that part of the game, Tim.
Yeah.
I remember you playing my copy when it first released.
I mean, I don't remember much story, to be honest, but
and they've now changed it. So if you remember, I remember you playing, you did play, some of Destiny, the first Destiny, and I remember you played the beta and stuff. If you remember that, when that game started out and it happens on Earth and you're basically a dead body that the ghost goes off and finds and brings you back to life and then imbues you with the power of the light from the Traveler. It's that. It's kind of like a weird rewriting of the intro to Destiny, but for Destiny 2.
Right.
You get found by a ghost. It goes through some of the similar levels, but then it changes to go into a more open world land like it does in Destiny 2, where you're doing quests for someone and introduces new characters and stuff. And then when you finally get into the last city, it's not that you've been to the tower and now you've gone to you're working your way to the last city. It's like the last city just is, and you're getting a tour of that, and they're introducing to you all the older characters and stuff. Even so much as where the story's changed, they're like, oh, we had here's the leader of the Titans, here's the leader of the Warlocks. We had a leader of Hunters, but he died, sadly.
Oh.
He was called Cade 6. Anyway, we're not going to talk about him anymore. That's in the past. And then kind of carry on through that. And it's cool in one way because it's given me a new start to the game, like I'm a new player in a completely different intro. But at the same time, this is my same build character that I started Destiny 2 with. I'm like, no, I did that stuff in Destiny. I did all this. I was there when Cade 6 died. I've done all this. Stop treating me. Do you not remember me? What's happened?
See, I like to think of that as like
So that's interesting.
He's having one of those odd time travel episode ones of Star Trek where like something's gone wrong and no one on the ship remembers anything else. Just you.
I think it's just that someone there is going, it's probably Lord Shaxx the git. Someone's there going, if we pretend he never did it, we can just claim all the victory, all the valor for his hard work, and he didn't do any of it.
Dan stole all your glory.
Anyway, Destiny's been kind of changed up to introduce new players, and they've made the systems and stuff easier to understand, and the menus are, I think they're getting defined a bit more as we go on, but everything seems a bit nicer paced for people that aren't just hardcore in it and paying attention to all the numbers and stats and things and the quests and bounties and stuff. They have made more of an approachable game for new starts. So I just wanted to give you that. As a returning player to Destiny 2, Destiny 2 is quite fun. However, I probably won't stick with it because I really want to play something else, which we'll get into in a moment.
Oh.
But yeah, Destiny 2, and it's free to play. If you wanted to jump into that, feel free. Anyway, those are the games we done played, and let's talk about the news this week, because one of the games that I'm really looking forward to jumping back into and investing a lot more time into, because I had a quick blast on this last night, is Cyberpunk 2077.
Ooh.
And Tim, did you watch the most recent Night City Wire stream?
No, I saw some reaction to it, but I didn't actually watch the stream itself. But I've been considering restarting the game. Is it because
Holly Bennett doesn't present them anymore?
Well, there's that. But, friend of the show, Holly Bennett, no longer there. But yeah, no. I just didn't have time this week. It's been a busy week. But hence the fact I've only played one real game and I didn't play a massive amount of that. But Cyberpunk is something I've been thinking about booting up again just to go. I know they've announced the first expansion and maybe the last expansion from what I saw from someone saying, but I don't know if that's true. But
we'll get into that. So there's, first of all, Night City Wire, that's where they do all the updates for Cyberpunk 2077. The first thing that they kind of kicked off was the Cyberpunk Edge Runners, kind of an anime show that's coming to Netflix. That's launching on the 13th of September. And to celebrate the launch, patch 1.6 is now available on Cyberpunk 2077. And that adds some cool things like all your balancing and all that kind of stuff in there. But it also has added some kind of story-focused DLC for free that ties into Cyberpunk Edge Runners. And it's meant to be, I booted up the game to have a look at this, and they're kind of strewn about the city for you to go and find. And it's little contained story plots starring guys from the show, or that will be in the show. And it's what they're doing during the events of the main story of Cyberpunk 2077. So if you're interested in the show and you've played through all the story of the game, then this might be worth checking out for you, and it's free. So, get on that. Something else they added in with the 1.6 update is Roach Race, which I've not found yet.
Right.
There's a mobile game that they've put out there, and it's an endless runner where you play like a very kind of low poly version of Roach, Geralt's horse from The Witcher. And it's kind of like if you've ever played Google when it's gone down, or YouTube when it's gone down, there's that little T-Rex game.
Yep.
It's that.
Right.
Yeah. So that's free on iOS and Android. But if you're playing Cyberpunk, it's in the game. You can find little arcade machines that let you play the game as well. So there you go. Game within a game. Gameception. The big thing is that this update is on all the platforms, all the versions of Cyberpunk 2077 out there. And that marks the final update for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One versions of Cyberpunk 2077. However, I think it's worth noting that if you have the PS4 and Xbox or Xbox One versions, then you can upgrade to the next gen versions of the game. You can play those versions of the game. I myself, I had the PS4 version of the game. It was broken, refunded it when it deleted all my save data, bought the game later when it came to PS5 at a reduced rate, and all my save data was back. So that was nice. But I started again anyway because it had been so long.
See, whereas I kept my PS4 version, upgraded it to PS5, played it, got to the same point in the game, realized I dug myself into a hole and went, oh yeah, and then couldn't flip-flop between starting again and going from there, and then never played. So I'm going to go start again at some point, I think.
So that's the last kind of update for the last gen versions of Cyberpunk 2077. And the reason for that being is there was also the announcement, a quick look at the first big paid, I'm assuming it's a paid for expansion for Phantom Liberty, Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty. This will only be released on PS4, the Xbox Series the PC, and Stadia.
You said PS4 to start with. Did you mean 5? Version.
I meant to say PS5, obviously.
Right.
I said PS4, and that influenced my brain to repeat myself because I've got no hair to keep the brain powers in.
Good.
That's my excuse, and I'm sticking with it, Governor. But yes, they showed off a short teaser trailer. It said that the expansion's coming out in 2023. Keanu Reeves does return, and we know this because there is a pledge
Johnny
of allegiance
Silverhand.
of New America. Yeah, the new United States of America, which you hear V reciting, which afterwards Johnny Silverhand says that you probably shouldn't have taken that oath. There's something afoot, and that's the new expansion to the game. So
Spoilers and stuff.
To kind of see where we are, spoilers and stuff and that in it. So kind of see where we are with Cyberpunk, because like I said, I enjoyed when I started it. The more I played it, I was like, oh, this is horrible and it's broken and I really shouldn't be playing this on a PlayStation 4. I'll play this on PC. Then I played it on PC, but it makes my PC make some funny noises. So
makes your PC angry.
When I started playing it, it makes it very hot. When I play it on PS5, I was like, yes, good. Frame rate. That makes me happy. And I played a little bit of it and went, must get back to this at some point. And then when I jumped in last night, I was like, whoa, it's so smooth now. It plays so well and things work and it works as intended. This feels like a fully released game that I would have been happy to pay a full retail price for. So I'm much more happy with the state of the game now. And I think I need to put this aside, finish what I'm doing at the moment. And then hopefully I can burn through this if I can spend like a good couple of weeks on this, get it done before I think October's the next big games for me coming out.
So
we'll see.
You want to spend a couple...
Cyberpunk's good now.
You want to spend a couple of weeks sometime this month. Just this, basically is what you're saying.
Yeah. If I can finish, I'm probably not going to finish Saints Row at this point. It's pretty dull. It's not gotten... It was fine, but it's not keeping me hooked.
Okay.
Unfortunately. So I can't remember what else I've got on the go. I'll probably do a little bit more Destiny and then I'll jump into Cyberpunk. Right, running through the rest of the news. Anyway, that's out there. Well, sorry, I wanted to say that quick because if Cyberpunk 2077, because of its reputation, does tend to be quite heavily reduced in a lot of places, especially if you're picking up a physical version of the game. If you see it and you've been waiting or you've heard bad things and didn't want to pick it up, or you've just been biding your time, now's your time. Jump on it. It works. It's good. Like it. Very stylish game.
Yeah.
Like that game. Moving on with the news. So this has been teased before. There's it looks like a Game Pass Friends and Family pack coming to Xbox Game Pass. And this was then kind of confirmed by a leaked logo, which showed that there was a trial coming to Colombia and I want to say Ireland, I think it was.
You say Ireland then. Go on, you do it.
Yes, definitely Ireland. I'm looking at my notes now and it definitely says Ireland. And that's now been revealed. This is true. The trials are happening in Colombia and Ireland. Two very odd places to be picking that up. You think Colombia, you think Ireland. The idea is if you buy this pack instead of getting your normal Xbox Game Pass, it's a version of Game Pass Ultimate, which you can obviously share with your friends and family. I don't know if that restricts you to a address. I'll have to look into that, or it can be shared between different households. I'd assume if it's friends and family, you can share households, but we'll have to see where this goes. The costing of which in Ireland, it's €21.99. In Colombia, it's 49,900 Colombian pesos, which I'm assuming is about 21.99 euros, but in Colombian money. Always sounds worse when you put it down like that.
Yeah.
Yes, and there's some stipulations to this, as well as the pricing details. There is an FAQ, which I do need to read through in a lot more detail, which shows how it works across different regions. And it confirms that if you're a member to the friends and family group, you can only be a member of one group at a time, which makes sense.
Yeah.
And that group members can only join a group up to 2 times per year. I don't know why that would be.
Okay. Just so you don't switch families.
Maybe to limit free trials. Who knows?
It's got to be bad news for bigamists, basically. Like, if you're trying to keep 2 families on the go, well, you're going to have 2 separate plans.
No, you just get them in on the one. It's fine.
Oh, yeah, they're just friends.
It's fine. I'm assuming it's because if you already subscribe to Game Pass and you have a bunch of Game Pass, if you've stacked up your months for like a year or whatever it is, they will allow you to upgrade and convert what you have stored up into whatever the equivalent is on Family. They probably don't want people going, right, we'll convert this lot into a family plan. Everyone join it. Now we'll convert this lot to a family plan. Right. Now join it. Now convert this one and do that and keep it on going. Who knows? I'm just spitballing here. I assume that's what's going on. I don't know in UK prices, but in the US it worked if it's one-to-one kind of parity to what they have. It looks like it's Game Pass Ultimate for multiple people for an extra $10 on top of what you're paying. So if that's, if it's $10 in the US, it'll be £10 in the UK. If it's about that, I don't know. Say you can get 5 people on a family plan, it could be worth going in and having a little syndicate of game passing and save yourself some money.
Yeah.
Worth looking out for, especially in this climate where we don't want to spend too much money on games and don't mind paying subscriptions, but really, you want to save money wherever you can. Any interest in Assassin's Creed these days, Tim?
I mean, you kind of overstretch things a little bit. Like, literally, my favorite Assassin's Creed was probably the first one. That's my peak of my interest. Like, up to Brotherhood and like most of 2 and stuff were good and interesting. Then it obviously fell from its high perch, let's say, for a while, and had some problems, particularly with Unity at launch and stuff like that, and getting some bad memes, but also just making overly bloated games. And like they kind of almost got me back at Origins. I kind of liked where they went with that, but I just didn't quite dive in. And then I haven't played any of the ones since.
Because I never went to Origins because there was still Unity and Syndicate, and I was determined to get through the stories of the games because I'd done all the ones previous and wanted to carry on. I went through Unity and then I got to Origins, and for some reason I just never got through Origins. And it's a shame because I love the idea. I love the open world London. I've always wanted to do that, running along the rooftops and climbing Big Ben and stuff. And then you kind of run around London and go, well, I've done that now. Oh, I've got to do the story as well. It's a bit... Yeah. It's not a great story, this one, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But hey-ho. And then I missed Origins and I missed Odyssey. I want to say Odyssey.
Yeah, let's go with Odyssey.
Which apparently was quite a slog because
and then
that's when they started selling you passes to make the games. Yes, Valhalla I did get into.
Okay.
That was a late, that was a Christmas present. So I played through that and it did me dirty, even though I was enjoying playing through the game. And it's got a long old slog to get to the start of that game.
It sounds like it takes overly big
so
game.
Long to get going.
Talking of bloated.
I felt like it took me a week to get through the tutorial of the game. And then when I finally started playing, just going back and forth on it and then finally getting into it and went, all right, now I'm having fun. As soon as the map opens and they allow you to go like, to the south coast of the UK, what's the first thing I'm going to do?
Go find your hometown.
Exactly. I'm going to Portsmouth. I'm going to Gosport. And then you get down to Portsmouth's not in the map and you go to where it would be and it's not there. And I'm like, what the hell? And then you go to where approximately where I think Gosport would be in comparison. It's not there. Okay, I don't know on the map there, but I know if I follow the coastline, I know exactly where it is on the coastline. Okay, and I go to the coastline and it says haven't, and it's not haven't, it's Gosport, damn it. I appreciate it's too early for it to be called Gosport, but still, throw me a bone. Isle of Wight's there though. You can go to the Isle of Wight.
Okay, that's all good then.
Go do some crazy golf down Blackgang Chain.
Well, the thing that's influencing this conversation is actually something that kind of shows what we were saying from the conversation as well, because Assassin's Creed Mirage has been officially confirmed, basically, is kind of the news that was going
following
a
leak.
Yeah, following a leak. It also sounds like a lot of the other stuff that they were planning on announcing has leaked as well. But like the fact that this was part of Assassin's Creed Valhalla and they span it out into its own entire game, basically, by the sounds of things.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, because there was God of War. There was Assassin's Creed Ragnarok, and that was meant to be a spin-off. Well, sorry, that was meant to be an expansion for Valhalla, and then it ended up being an expandalone, which carries on the story but in a more fantastical way because Valhalla. This one, the idea is Mirage. It's meant to be, and we don't know exactly because there's been leaks and stuff, but it's not fully confirmed. We've got the name, we've got the cover.
Yeah.
It's going to be announced on September the 10th, which is a couple of days from when this podcast comes. Sorry, 1 day since this podcast comes out, for Ubisoft Forward, which they're meant to do a whole presentation on the 15th anniversary of Assassin's Creed, I think it is.
Yeah.
And I've seen they put out that video, the live action video, displaying all the different Assassin's Creed games, and that was cool. I liked that. So this is meant to tie it into that, and it's meant to be following a character called Basim, who was announced. He was revealed in Valhalla,
right?
Which I do remember seeing in Valhalla. So you're playing as this one, and according to some folks I've seen online, it's meant to be more Assassins focused than we've had in a long time, because the way these games seem is they're like a weird pseudo history, fantastical retelling simulator where every now and they go, oh, and also you wear a hood and stab people. Whereas the earlier games, there's a whole thing about the Creed and the Brotherhood and So the Hidden Blade.
With the stabby stab.
But there's a lot more focus on like the Assassin Order, the Templar Order, and see where we go from there. Right. And it's not been that for a while. It takes a while to get that focus. It's there, but it's very hidden.
Yeah.
So apparently that's what we're going to get. I'll be interested to see where we go from this, because I haven't finished Valhalla, and if I ever do, I still got Ragnarok to get through. So I'm way behind on these games already because they take so damn long, and I refuse to pay for a pack to say that I can upgrade my character quicker.
Oh.
Make your game shorter.
Yeah. Less bloat, please.
One developer that doesn't want to see bloat to their game, that is 1047 Games. You may have heard of them, you may not. They're the guys who, they wanted to make a shooter that very much felt like old school Halo multiplayer, and they did such, but they added a portal mechanic, and that game was called Splitgate. And it was in an alpha state and a beta state, and then it took off because some streamers got a hold of it, and it became very popular online. And they ended up delaying their 1.0, the release of the game, and carried on working, until it's ready, kind of thing. And now they finally released the 1.0, and they've been working on this game. And again, it's got this huge following online. And then they've decided to end development on this game. Let's not just keep flogging a horse while flog the horse till it's dead and keep on flogging it. They've decided, let's just cut here. We're going to stop our development, and we're going to work on a new game in the Splitgate universe using Unreal Engine 5. So fair enough. The updates and things that will be going in forward, it's going to be more your stability patches and things that will carry on going. But as far as improvements to the game, like that's it. What you've got is what you've got. And I think, I'm not sure if 100%, but I think that game's free to play as well on some platforms. But it's apparently very good. I see a lot of people get into that.
It looks good from footage and watching people play and stuff. It looks okay.
Yeah, I'm terrible at Halo multiplayer. So the idea of going, hey, but
add portals.
And I go, I'm not going to have a fun time.
Nope. Coleman doesn't like playing with portals.
Enjoy the novelty of the game, but I won't be able to stick with the game.
Right.
I'm going to not enjoy getting my ass handed to me every single time I load into it. Another game that I'm looking forward to is the Callisto Protocol, as I spoke to, or the Callisto Protocol if you don't want to talk like a weirdo like me. Callisto Protocol, developers behind, or a few of the developers that worked for Visceral Games, the creators behind the Dead Space series, formerly of EA, until they shut that studio down. And they went off and formed a new studio, and that's been headed up by one Glen Schofield. And as I spoke last week, I never really got into the Dead Space games, but this one excites me because I'm more in that kind of, I like playing more horror games these days, and I never really got into Dead Space, so this looks like a one for me to get into. And I like, the more I see of this game, the more I like the look of it. A lot of people share that sentiment. Unfortunately, there's a bit of a hit back lately because Glen Schofield, he went on Twitter and said something along that he basically put out a tweet kind of sharing his enthusiasm and his devotion to building this game with his team and his love for his team by saying that they're dedicated. They've been working 6 to 7 days a week for 12 to 15 hours in order to finish the Callisto protocol. And he also did say in the same tweet that no one's forcing them to do it, that they are doing it for the love of the game, of the craft. And a lot of people came out against it, which I'm all for one for speaking out against crunch culture and all this. We've spoken about it. Sometimes we get it, sometimes we don't. On sometimes we see it. On some, if you're getting paid your overtime, then that's okay. But if you're being kind of insinuated, if you don't do the overtime, you could be fired if you're not working a 60-hour week or like if you're not a team player. Refusing to do overtime is a way of saying I quit without saying I quit. Stuff like that. Really can't abide with that. So because of the kind of hit out on crunch culture at the moment, Glen Schofield got a lot of backlash online, not just from regular Twitter public, but also different game journalists came up against him, a lot of high profile ones as well. And he ended up deleting the tweet and then coming out with another tweet that said along the lines of that anyone knows him, knows how passionate he is about the people that he works with, that he didn't mean to sound like he was rewarding his team for putting in the time. He was trying to reward them for how passionate they are about making the game, and apologized if it came across as in the other way. I think it's a genuine mistake in the wording.
Yeah.
I honestly, when I read that tweet, I didn't read that to go, wow, that's a horrible studio of crunch culture. That made me as, wow, that is a much smaller studio than they're probably used to without the backing of a gigantic publisher behind you. And I mean, they've probably got a larger publisher behind them now, but without EA backing you, and you might be thinking, we've really got to make this give this our all. And it's a slippery slope.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I think they're kind of people are picking apart a little bit, but if he'd have said, I'm working 12 to 15 hour days and working hard to blah, 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 I don't think that would have been a problem. But then people would have perhaps criticized him for not including his team's hard work in his statement type of thing. Like you could see that going that way as well. So as much as I think there is an element of him, if he's saying that, and even if he's doing the 12 to 15 hour days himself, if there's an implication of other people should be doing it and it's bad if they're not, and they're not, performing as part of the team if they're not willing to put in that amount of dedication type thing. But yeah, I as you say, I think it was a bit harsh to jump on him, and it does seem like it was just a poorly worded way of saying we're really passionate about this game and we're pouring a lot into it, basically.
No, I get it. I think, unfortunately, the kind of case with social media, especially if you work in any form of media, if it's journalism, if it's games development, if it's movies, TV, anything like that, you're kind of damned if you do and damned if you don't on whatever statement you put out there. It seems whatever you say will be the wrong thing. Again, I read that statement and I have my problems with crunch culture, and I have my kind of problems with the over-examination of crunch culture in a lot of cases as well. And that was one where I read that tweet and was like, yeah, I'm fine with that. And then just it kicked off.
Yeah.
And I was kind of left there going, huh? What?
Yeah, really?
Right.
Okay.
I kind of see where you're coming from, but okay. I mean, thanks for looking out for the other guys, I guess.
Yeah. I know.
That is all the news we have time for this week. But what we do have time for is Tim's going to tell us about Tuesday being a Tuesday, because on Tuesday, certain things happen.
Yes. And anyone that doesn't know, each and every Tuesday we do an event called Tabletop Tuesday at the Loading Bar in Stoke, Newington. And each and every Tuesday we have a different feature game, usually a board or a card game. And if you play that game that evening, you have a chance of winning a copy of the game at the end of the evening. Last week's game was a really good prize and a really good game called Living Forest. I keep on saying but I think it's just Living Forest. But yeah, it's a quite cool kind of...
Living in a forest, living. Am I living in a cardboard forest? Am I living in a forest, living?
It's a push your luck and kind of deck building type game, but with some nice levels to it as well. It won the Kinnesbielderjahr, which is like the prestigious Kids Game of the Year award.
That's a prestigious German award.
Well, yeah, but it is the big one in board gaming generally. It has also won a bunch of other awards. It won a French award and a few other things. Yeah, it's...
I know about this award too because I used to live with you.
Yes. And yeah, like it's... I got a chance to play it because I jumped in on a game that had 3 players and to make it a 4th. And yeah, like it's a really good game. I really enjoyed it. And everyone that I played it with and everyone else that seemed to play it that evening also really enjoyed it as well. And it's a really nice looking game. It made for an awesome prize because it's quite a big game as well. So yeah, thank you very much to Coiled Spring who supplied the game. And yeah, they actually came along for the evening. They were pleased with what was going on. It's nice to put some faces to names of people that have been sending us games to back up the stuff that we've been doing. And we've got another awesome game from the same company next week, a game called Next Station London, which is by a game developer that we've had along to a few Tabletop Tuesdays. Unfortunately, he's living in Europe these days, I think in the Czech Republic, so won't be coming along on Tuesday. But yeah, Matthew Dunstan is a really good game designer and a really nice guy, and it's his latest game or one of his latest games. So that's going to be a good one to come along to. Obviously, it's London-based as well, and we're in London, so that suits us pretty well as well. But yeah, it, again, should make for a good prize, should make for a good evening. Tabletop Tuesdays has been fun the last few weeks. So yeah, come along, join in the fun, and possibly win a game just by playing it that evening. There are more details on the top left-hand corner of BigRedBarrel.com, or you can join our over 2,000 people on our meetup group and search for Tabletop Tuesdays on meetup.com, and you can join us there.
Our podcast is based in London. Should we move to the Czech Republic?
I mean, no.
BRB CZ?
Possibly. Do they have electricity?
Apparently, property's cheaper there. They do.
Okay,
they have lots of things in the Czech Republic. Cheaper beer.
I wasn't casting aspersions about them not having electricity. I was saying we might not fairly soon, so maybe let's go move somewhere that does.
That's why he made a board game. It's electric sound.
That's not what I was saying.
Oh dear.
I was saying that our country is in such a mess. We may want to move to the Czech Republic to get some electricity.
Mate, I'm gonna blow your mind. When I went to Wales at the weekend, flushing toilets.
Nah.
Yeah.
Are you sure that wasn't a sheep?
It's not the first time I went, mate. The first time I went there, I had to put sawdust on it. That is true.
Really?
Yeah, I went to the Centre for Alternative Technology in Wales.
Okay.
It's not like all of Wales are pooing in boxes with sawdust.
It's like the first time I went to
it's like a big hippie
went to
retreat.
France, and they were like, "There's the outside loo," and it's just a hole in the ground. And you're like, "What? Someone's stolen your loo, mate." I don't know what's going on there, but
idiot. Right. Thank you very much if you have listened to this here podcast. You can show your support for this podcast by going to bigredbarrel.com and checking out our comment section, leaving us a nice little comment there. Alternatively, we have a link to our Discord channel. Go over to Discord, give us comments. We're over in I think it's called the BRB UK Lounge. Yes, that's right. The BRB UK Lounge. That's where we like to
where
hang
we
out and talk and
lounge
stuff. Also, where we lounge. We also have a Facebook and a Twitter. They are both at Big Red Barrel, respectively. And on YouTube, we are indeterminate. Big Red Barrel TV, Big Red Barrel. It's one of those things. You can find us at that. YouTube's really annoying me lately. Alternatively, all those links are available in the show notes of this here episode. You can also get in contact with this show of any of those ways and ask us questions like these people have. First of all, we have Stingo. He says, I have a question. What were your worst difficulty spikes? Did they end up being caused by you or by the game or a bit of both? And I'll start this first as I previously read the question. It gives Tim a little bit of time to think about his answer. Yes, my worst one was, and it's going to sound really dumb for anyone that's played it, Mass Effect. The first time I played Mass Effect on the 360, and I went out and people have been banging on about this game for ages, and I went out and I bought all 3 versions of the game, the Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, and I was all hyped up for playing this, and I got right into it when I first moved to London, and I got up to a point in the game, and one of my characters died, Garrett, and I was like, well, that's annoying. And I looked up online, can you save him? Yes, you can. And I kept reloading the level and redoing it. And he kept dying each time. And I looked into it again. And it's like, I had the computer just assigning my stat points wherever it wanted, where it felt it made sense. And I didn't put it in where I should have put it. And therefore, Garrett would die every single time because I did not save early enough in the game to make changes to my stats in this way. And I felt very upset, and I didn't play the game until the re-release last year.
Okay.
Or was that this year? I don't know. Anyway, I finally finished Mass Effect, and Garrus did survive.
Okay.
Was it Garrus?
Garrus?
No, Krogan. Is it Krogan?
Krogan's a race.
No, Garrus is the
not a
guy.
person.
Right. What's Krogan? Krogan dude. What is he called?
In the first one, he is not Grunts in the second and third. Who's it in the first? Oh, I've forgotten his name. And he was my favorite back in the day. No, you put me on the spot and I can't remember.
You know him.
I do know him.
Let's call him Jeff.
Oh, no. It's gone. Bad with names, good with faces.
But yes, that was a self-inflicted difficulty spike, which wasn't really a difficulty spike because clearly I could have just kept on playing with him dead.
Yes.
But it ate up a lot of time.
I mean, recent difficulty spike to memory is literally the one that stopped me playing Cyberpunk. Like, I literally backed myself into a corner, into a fight I couldn't get out of, wanted to get out of, and didn't want to quit and go somewhere else. And then, anyway. So, I think that's a recent memorable one. I'm trying to think, like, it's hard to remember the things that made you stop playing a game until you pick up again and go, oh, right, yes. Like, there tends to be quite a few points I get to in a game where I'm like, okay, I have to play this when I'm a bit more alert and when I'm fully awake. And then that never happens during the week. And then a week goes by and I'm playing something else by then.
I want to say when I played, I mean, it's not a difficulty spike, but it is kind of. I remember what stopped me playing LeChuck's Revenge, Monkey Island 2, the first time I played it, LeChuck's Revenge. So I had that on the Amiga, which I think, if my memory serves correct, was stored on 13 floppy disks. So lots of switching disks out. And I think there was a fault on like the 11th disk. And on one of the chapters, it literally, you went all through this chapter and then you spring a trap and then they go through all this whole spiel and then the game would crash before the next scene loaded. And I don't know how many times I reloaded it in the hope I could just force it to get through that. But I played that section of the game so many times that when I finally got to play it on the PC and it worked fine, I was there like clenched, expecting it to crash at that point because it had done it so many times. So that's kind of a difficulty spike when the game just goes, can't play past this point.
Yeah, I mean...
And I'm going, I'll show you, game. I know what I'm doing.
See, most of the things I'm thinking of isn't necessarily a difficulty spike, just a particularly difficult boss or a dungeon that was putting me off, like Elden Ring is the one I'm thinking of there, basically, where there's a dungeon I'm in, I want to get through it, but it's really annoying me, so I've stopped playing it so that I don't have to play that dungeon. Kind of idea. And, you know, but that's not really...
software games are just difficult. It's just difficulty spike the game.
It is, just continuous difficulty spikes until you get through the end of the game. So, like, that for me doesn't really count. That's more difficulty, and it's not like a badly designed game where one thing popped out. Like you're saying about Mass Effect, I think Mass Effect got a lot of complaints because it had a few difficulty spikes. So I remember there being one moment on a fight on the Citadel where it particularly ramped up and was really hard to get through unless you were really on it and really a high point in the game. And I think that stopped a lot of people from playing it. And I think they patched that so that it wasn't as difficult for future play, as I think, if I'm correct in that. I'm not sure if they patched it in the original game or they just made differences in the subsequent versions they released. But I'm fairly sure that was one of the things they ironed out in gameplay, basically.
So that's another one that's another single player story-based game that I need to do. I need to start Mass Effect 2.
Well, there you go. That's one of my favorite games of all time as well. So yeah it's probably still in my top 10 just about, but yeah.
So many games, so little time. What can I do?
So yeah, I can't think of a particular difficulty spike. If I think of a better answer between now and next week, I'll try and remember to return to the question.
Put it on Discord.
Yes, or go to Discord.
Answer on Discord. Yes. Listeners, feel free to jump in and answer these yourself as well.
Mm-hmm.
Ed from the wrestling my good old wrestling friend. We went for WrestleMen's.
Oh, yeah.
We went to go wrestle together. We were born in a cave. We will die in a cave. And in between that time, we will wrestle with our hands and feet.
Don't wrestle with your feet.
Right.
That's creepy.
He gave us special questions based on last week's episode. He said, what are your favorite political games? And which game have you played that has the most politics in it?
I mean, from recent mind, Papers, Please kind of jumps to mind. Like, that's not super recent, but semi-recent. But yeah.
I think there was a game based around Papers, Please called Not Tonight, which one of our listeners recommended us. And that was entirely Brexit based.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else more political. I mean, like we talk about politics being in games, but I can't think of a good political game that I've particularly gravitated to in recent times. I guess you could say there's some politics in XCOM, maybe, kind of.
I kind of like how every Ubisoft game that comes out seems to be steeped in politics in some way, and then they go, no, it's not. No, it's not.
Nothing to do with it. Made by a diverse group of people. It's okay.
Yeah, I really liked how Watch Dogs Legion, even though I kind of fell off that game, I really liked the build up to that game. When they announced it at E3 and the guy was on stage and he just went on this tirade about Brexit and how they stand with Britain to do that they should stay in the EU and stuff. I'm like, what the hell is going on right now? And then you play the game, it's like, none of this is in it. It's just kind of hinted at.
Yeah. We'll be a failed state soon. It's okay. The game will reach its prophecy.
To answer your question, Ed, to give you a real answer, Ed, I don't play games with politics in them because I want to keep politics out of my video games.
Yeah.
As I should. Video games are for playing, not for learning.
Yeah, for fighting.
Yeah.
And shooting folks in Call of Duties. I guess all of the Call of Duty games are pretty political. I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although I think the last one of the ones I've played with them had Kevin Spacey in it. So that's not so good.
It's pretty political.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have Call of Duty Valorant and I still have yet to play it.
Oh?
I've heard it's terrible.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
my girlfriend really wanted to try the multiplayer, so I got it for her as a Christmas present, but it's on my computer still, so I need to maybe I'll do the single player one day. I hear the single player's okay.
Oh, maybe.
I like the idea of the story.
See what you think.
Maybe we could do that.
Anyway,
we should wrap up. Another way you can support the show is go and leave us a podcast review. You can do that on the podcast review platforms of your choice. We do like Apple Podcasts. We do like Stitcher. We do like Podchaser. We do like Spotify, which you did ask me a question before, Tim. Can you actually leave a review in Spotify? You can, but it forces you to, I think it's like you have to listen to 5 episodes of a show before they allow you to review it.
I mean,
to make sure you're actually listening to a show
good idea.
And not just review bombing it.
That's a good idea, generally.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, not a bad plan.
I'm not signed up to Spotify, but I like that idea.
Yeah, I use Spotify. That's one of the reasons I asked. I don't actually listen to our podcast do that. I usually go through YouTube, Mr. Coleman, these days, just to check out your fine video work.
Yeah.
And just a thanks to
and my shiny
YouTube
head.
peoples, because we've been picking up some numbers there as well. We've always got less viewers on YouTube than we've had audio listeners traditionally. But yeah, we're creeping up there on the YouTubes a little bit more. And yeah, a good few likes in ratio is good as well. So thank you for that as well. But yeah, all that.
Like, comment, subscribe, and smash that bell.
Yeah, do that stuff.
As the YouTubers like to say.
Yeah.
What other things do YouTubers say? Raid Shadow Legends.
Don't smash our bell. We'll need that for next week.
What else do they do to support us? Oh, you can go and check out our line of merchandise at tpublic.com/stores/BRB. Over there, we have t-shirts, we have masks, we have mugs, we have mouse mats. We have lots of cool things with not just our logo emblazoned on it, not just Big Red Barrel UK, not just BRB UK, not just BigRedBarrel.com, but we have cool designs on there from very talented artists like Sonic the Hedgehog and Zangief.
Sonic the Hedgehog's not a talented artist.
Tabletop Tuesday. He is a very talented artist, and
he draws too fast. Well. It's all scribbles. So
if you don't pick up any of that, then we've got it's a good way to support not just us but the artists that have created those things as well. We are going to leave it at that for this here episode of BRB UK. On next week's show, I believe there is a Disney and Marvel showcase happening on the day this comes out, actually.
Yep.
9 o'clock on September the 9th.
Yep.
9 o'clock in the evening, that is, I must say. 2100 hours. And Splatoon 3. I'll be giving my opinions on Splatoon 3. Ooh.
I have a review game for next week
I'm gonna like it.
that I'm looking forward to that I haven't seen anyone else talking about. So, yeah, that'll be interesting as well, hopefully.
When's the Umbongo up?
Next week. So
When's the Umbongo?
I think
So you can't even say what it is yet?
Yeah, no. But it's up on the 15th, so I think it's perfectly timed for coming out next week, basically.
Day before my brother's birthday.
There you go. Robert's your mother's brother.
This has been BRB UK episode 507 for this week. We will catch you next week. I have been Coleman.
I might have been Tim. There's no one to follow this up with it. Gonna slap in a Dan.
Thanks to the power of editing, you will never know the laggiest of lags we've had this week that has ever lagged. We've never had such a lag as this week. It is so off-putting. But hopefully the power of editing fixes things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyway. Till next time, to listeners, a goodbye.
Your ears are quite welcome for the podcasting goodness that you just heard. Why not roll on over to BigRedBarrel.com for more podcasts, news, reviews, and videos from the biggest, reddest site on the internet, BigRedBarrel.com.
No.
Out you come! Look at your little turtle head crowning
Coleman.
into this world.
Coleman, please speak about games.
Anyway, talking of crap, I hear you've been playing Saints Row.
All right.